Wow. Just when you think things can't get crazier, they obviously do with R. Kelly, who is still in the news, who's just incarcerated after we just did a full video on him. We're hearing crazy, crazy stories. There's more crying. There's another video. CBS released just a small snippet that we went after and talked about and broke down in full yesterday. But Jason, there's 80 minutes of a crazy unhinged interview. More of it just released, which we're going to go over in this video. There's other crazy stuff about him being, of course, investigated in Detroit, new charges against him. He's now in jail. Other allegations of herpes to underage girls. Holy cow, Jason, what's happening here?
Well, Luke, literally less than 24 hours after that initial interview by Gayle King, and we're going to play some of that clip. We're going to be breaking down the next section of madness that R. Kelly. I beat the case. I beat the case. No, you cannot. I beat the case. So he goes to jail.
Crazy video yesterday. I mean, I was shocked watching that video of him trying to defend himself that we broke down clip by clip. That video is on the main channel. This video is going to be on the backup channel, just FYI.
Yeah, so check this out. So now he has some of this published. Not a lot of it. I think it was like a 6-minute clip we went over. Immediately gets taken into custody for not paying $160,000 plus in child support. Now, from the reports I'm reading, he's not leaving until that money is paid. Now, why is that interesting?
He's broke, by the way, and he doesn't have any money. And it was literally crazy stalker fans that raised enough money to get him out of jail. A rich businesswoman that was able to get him out of jail because they're still, fantasized about this crazy predator and pedo. And this story you sent me, absolutely crazy, Jason.
Well, I think there's going to be more to that story. So out of this $160,000, he's supposedly not getting out until that's paid. Now, in this interview, as we're going to go over, he says that the day before, essentially, he was picked up on these charges, he had gone to Bank of America by himself for the first time, found out he only had $350,000 left. Other people had access to that account, and he was moving the money. I think that may be a lie because a woman paid his $100,000 of the $1 million bail. That may be a story he was just telling to her. Let's get that out of the way. We're going to play some of that. Remember, R. Kelly is a pathological liar. Now, if he says he has the $350,000 and this happened, well, he claims 3 to 4 weeks ago, Luke, guess what? He would have the money to get out. It doesn't look like he's going anywhere. And on top of that, Detroit has now opened up another investigation into Kelly for raping a girl from the age of 13 to 17 and giving her herpes when she was 17. You can't...
This story is absolutely disturbing. I mean, now this woman's 30 years old, and allegedly R. Kelly lured her into a hotel room when she was 13, all the way back in 2001. And again, these stories are not new. Dave Chappelle and other people were talking about them all the way since the early 2000s. And I'm still shocked at how long it took for this story to come true. But give us more details about this specific case in Detroit, Jason.
Yeah, again, R. Kelly says to everybody, I don't know why I'd need to chain these women up. If you look at my past, why would I? And again, this does take place in his past.
It's riddled with pee-pee and doo-doo and pedophilia. That's his past.
Luke, let's just get right into the breakdown because I know that's what the people want to see. They want to see more of R. Kelly absolutely losing it in this interview. So let's get a little background on his arrest from Gayle King just yesterday and some more of this crazy interview.
Just 24 hours after his explosive interview aired here on CBS This Morning, court officers in Chicago arrested him yesterday after a hearing over unpaid child support bills. Authorities say that Kelly will stay in jail until he comes up with more than $161,000 that he owes his 3 children. This morning, in a portion of the interview that you haven't heard, we actually talked to R. Kelly for over 80 minutes. The R&B singer says he has little money left.
And let's pause it right here. Before we get to R. Kelly crying about how little money, I wish that was one of the rumors that was true, that I had all this money. None of the rumors are true that he made a lot of money, apparently. We all know you blew it. We all know you're terrible. You surround yourself with terrible people, and that's what happens to awful people like you, Mr. Kelly. But he keeps crying about his kids. He makes it about his kids. He wants to garner sympathy. He's never had interest in his children, Luke. I want to say that right away.
It's reported that your income was very high. Hundreds of millions of dollars, we'll say that, because I don't want to get hung up on the semantics.
That's one room I wish that was true.
And yet, when you were in jail last week, the bond was $100,000, and they said R. Kelly couldn't even afford to get himself out of jail, that a friend had to come and bail you out of jail. What is your financial situation, if you don't mind saying?
Here's the deal. So many people have been stealing my money. People was connected to my account. I went by myself for the first time to Bank of America. Didn't know what I was doing. Didn't know what the hell was going on.
When?
Let's just stop it right there. First time ever to Bank of America. Didn't know what I was doing.
Poor guy,
Listen.
poor celebrity doesn't know how to use an ATM or a bank machine. But again, and Jason, this could be true with the way that the music industry operates, because there usually is controllers, there usually is big music executives that control everything and literally siphon away. There's a lot of Don Kings? There's a lot of Don Kings in the music industry.
Listen, there's a lot of handlers out there, Luke. He's a 50-plus-year-old man, and if this is the first time he's walked into a Bank of America where he's held accounts for 30-plus years, whose fault is that? I mean, listen, I get it. He's not the brightest bulb out there, all right? No one's saying he is. But, oh, my God, when you listen, when you start stacking these statements he's making, first time in 30 years he decides to go to a Bank of America by himself. Please, preach on, Mr. Kelly.
And when did you do that? First time by yourself?
About 3 weeks ago to a month.
3 weeks ago was the first time you went to Bank of America by yourself?
By
Absolutely.
myself. Because I was so tired of not knowing where my money was, where my publishing is.
Isn't that on you then?
Huh?
Isn't that on you?
A lot of it's on me.
That you didn't know where your money is?
A lot of it's on me.
And people say he doesn't have money because he had to pay so much in settlements. What do you say about that?
Lie.
According to court...
Let's stop lie.
You know, when he sings a response, you know it's full of crap.
Lie. Lie. Like as soon as they bring up the fact that he has settled in court with underage girls, let's make that point. Lie. He says it like it's an R&B song. It's a lie. Okay, Mr. Kelly, let's see what we got here.
Court documents, Kelly settled 3 lawsuits with women who alleged they were minors when he had sex with them. But Kelly says what really cost him is the people who had access to his bank account, something he found out from a bank teller.
I had like $350,000 in the bank. And I told her, look, take that. I want to start a new account, and that's the way it is, right? So she said, okay, it's going to take 6 to 7 business days to clear. Does that make sense? Yeah.
The day after the trip to the bank, Kelly was indicted on 10 counts of aggravated criminal sexual abuse. He says he was unable to access his bank account to make bail. Now he's back in jail for this separate child support case, something he became emotional about during our interview.
Let's stop before it gets here, because I got to tell you, you can already see the tears streaming. And I cannot stand.
He looks like that Michael Jordan meme. Sorry, go ahead.
I just can't stand when people use their children as social currency or to play the victim. Hey, man, if you had been there for your children, you wouldn't be in this spot. You don't care about your children. How many illegitimate kids you got? I know you got the 3 with the 1 wife, but if you think that's it with R. Kelly, you would be absolutely insane. This man is a narcissist. He is a sociopath. And those tears are not because he doesn't have a relationship with his kids. Those tears are happening because he is being called out on the numerous crimes that he has committed. And he is so upset that he's being persecuted because he actually believes, Luke, that he is some kind of like Christ-like figure that is entitled to all these things and has helped all these people. And he's the good guy.
Obviously, he's a megalomaniac. Obviously, there's a lot of ego involved. Now, again, I think it's fair to assume some of those things, but again, we're assuming here, and I think that's a big distinction to make here.
Well, again, when you've been caught in so many lies, when you're crying about children you don't care about, with a 20-year-old girl who says she's never really had a relationship with her father, that she doesn't care what happened to him, I don't know that I'm making that up.
Not
What do you
paying
think,
the
Mr.
child support and spreading herpes to 13-year-olds definitely also doesn't show the best character here.
How can I pay child support? How? If my ex-wife is destroying my name and I can't work, how can I work? How can I get paid? How can I take care of my kids? How?
Your ex-wife
Use
says,
your common sense.
your ex-wife says
Three-
you abused her, Robert.
13 lying.
You're-
13 years.
Yes! Use your common sense.
Oh.
Use your common sense. Yeah, I am using my common sense. When dozens of women come out and say that you abused them and had sexual relationships with them when they were underage, when there is an arrest made because you owe over $160,000 on the kids that you didn't take care of, and one of those children has been very vocal about it, I'm using my common sense, Mr. Kelly.
You know, yesterday during our breakdown, I said that R. Kelly was taking lessons from Jesse Smollett. I just realized Jesse Smollett and R. Kelly were literally in the same building. We're in the same system, took the mugshot in the same place, and if convicted, most likely will be spending jail time together. Another absolute crazy fact about this horrendous case. Let's just go on with this train wreck.
Being married. I flew in on a helicopter. I flew in on a helicopter.
Yes. Yes.
Luke, he flew in on a helicopter. He's getting really
Where?
emotional.
What? Keep playing. Hold, I want to see this.
Somebody get us some tissue.
I don't want no tissue. I'm going to leave. Look, man, look.
He can't make eye
telling y'all.
contact.
I flew in on a helicopter with a damn puppy, and I proposed to Drill, whom I was in love with, and told her, hey, look, I make mistakes. I'm not perfect. We got married.
You notice the puppy move? The puppy move, for those that have never been in an abusive relationship, again, whether it be with like a boyfriend or girlfriend or father, mother, someone that takes care, is a key sociopathic, hardcore move where they're like, hey, you got to dismiss all the wrong I've done to you. You've got to dismiss my actions through this very cute animal that I don't really care about myself, but I expect you to melt and then forgive me, and this shows my softer side. Real sociopath move.
If R. Kelly flies to you and comes out of a helicopter with a puppy walking towards you, Ray, run. Let's go on with this clip.
Okay, we had 3 beautiful kids. Not once have I ever had a domestic violence call at the house and all this, that, and the other. It never happened, okay?
But in a Lifetime docuseries, Surviving R. Kelly, his ex-wife Andrea described a tumultuous and sometimes dangerous relationship.
And I went to the National Domestic Violence Awareness Hotline. And there's 17 questions. There was only 2 things on that list that Robert hadn't done to me. And that's when it became real to me, like, you're being abused.
Is Andrea not telling the truth when she said she was abused by you? Is she not telling the truth?
Absolutely. She's not telling the truth. I love her to
Do you
death.
see,
I
do you
have
see him
nothing
head
against-
shaking?
She is not telling
common,
the
very
truth.
common among liars and people who contradict themselves. And look at the body language and the facial expressions and the way that his partner expressed herself and the way he's expressing himself and the way he's talking to the interviewer. A lot of key facts here. Let's go on.
Absolutely.
Still, that is my kid's mother.
She's making that
If
up.
you
Why?
notice one thing,
Why
if
is
you-
she making that up, Robert?
I'm not disrespecting her by saying she's not telling the truth. I'm just being honest. Somebody sent me something on my phone and it said that I hog-tied her. I don't know how to hog-tie people. What would I hog-tie God. My kids is listening to this. Oh,
My kids is listening to this. He don't care about his kids. The hog tied, like, again, an emotional wreck, Luke, and he's just going to continue. Watch. Meltdown.
this is nonsense. And I ain't been able to spend no time with him. This is real. This is not a lie. What kind of woman would tear down a dad who's trying to have a relationship with their kids? You know how many kids need a relationship with their father?
What is your relationship with your
Oh
children?
my God.
What is your relationship with your children?
Zero.
Zero.
But I know my kids love me. And I'm in love with my kids. I love my kids.
In January, Kelly's oldest.
So again,
just a very, very sad situation. Obviously, his actions are very monstrous. But before I just want to make this point here. This journalist did actually a really, really good job. But if only she did the same kind of hard questions, pointed questions, and research into politicians that ruin our lives as she did to the celebritard, this world would be totally different. But again, that's the context that I wanted to make here. What's your kind of points on this, Jason?
yeah, no, I absolutely agree. It would be great. But the thing is that you didn't even get this against celebrities that were accused of these things without years and years and years of pressure. Again, we've talked about the spin with Kevin Spacey, and there's a likelihood Kevin Spacey may actually get off for the things he's been accused of if you've been following that. So, of course, I'd love to see this against politicians, leaders of corporate America and the world, hard-hitting questions, but I am really glad that Gayle King brought it to R. Kelly, exposed him for who he really is. And Luke, it does seem like with more investigations, the Detroit story we just talked about, that these celebrities, no matter how powerful they are, they can't run forever.
That's true, and that's why this is, overall something that needs to be shared with people. People need to understand the people that they worship the most, obviously, all have flaws. And usually the more powerful someone is, the more influential, the more messed up they are in the head. And this is a great example of megalomania, of ego, and just abuse on the large scale. And his handlers, I believe, should be held accountable just as much as he is for enabling and allowing this and just being yes men for this horrible, horrible cycle of abuse. Because as we know, R. Kelly was also abused as a child, continuing that abuse, and it needs to stop with our understanding. Good job on Gayle. Now, Gayle, hold some politicians accountable, then you'll really get my respect. That's my thoughts on this and Jason's thoughts. If you have a different thought or want to add to the conversation, let us know in the comment section below. Of course, you're watching the backup channel. We have a main channel. Don't forget to subscribe and click the notification button, because if you don't, YouTube most likely won't recommend these videos at all.